guitars and mics. All my love. All my love.
I gotta get you guys unmuted. Okay, welcome everybody to MogTalk episode 227. Today is May 1st, 2021. And if you haven't watched MogTalk before, it's a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And today is going to be about PvP. We haven't talked about PvP in a while. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest real quick. So you know who's on the show. And Mateo, can you start us off and tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Mateo. I love Mogheads. I'm a Paladin main. I don't know if you guys knew this. Yeah, I'm a Paladin main. I've been hosting a show for about 6 years, maybe, since 2015. Longer than some people have been in high school. Anyway, that's Frosty, if you didn't know. If you didn't know, how are you watching this? But anyway, yeah, I'm Mateo. I'm the NA FRC champion. I play solo queue sometimes. Yeah. I've been playing since about season 3. We have fun, man. That was a long intro because of the troll, but yeah, that's me.
I mean, you're awesome, dude. Yeah, Mateo.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and then we got
me.
A Mountain Dew can here. Sir, can you can you tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, I'm Suhr. I'm a Paladin main also. And I've been playing Feast since pre-season of season 1. And, I don't know, I just love PvP, and I'm just happy to be here.
Okay. Amazing rank 1 multiple seasons, by the way, sir. That being said, let's go to our next guest, Lavigne.
Oh, well done, you got it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Lavigne, or some people know it as London Electricity. I play on Chaos and Gaia, and I've played since season 3, and I mostly play White Mage, Summoner, and Bard.
Okay. Perfect. So today we brought on like 3 extremely hardcore Feast players to talk about all PvP because they know everything about Rival Wings and Frontline and all this other stuff. I'm just kidding. I wanted to just have a shoot the shit show here about PvP, and so I just brought people on I was familiar with, and I was like, let's bring on Lavigne to, have him come on and be part of the conversation.
Jesus.
Damn, dude.
We still got 3 hours of this.
Jesus, let's start early.
No, I don't have a lot of insight into a lot of the EU community at all, and I assume Lavigne has a good amount of insight into the EU community, so he can kind of help us keep a good perspective here instead of just a whole bunch of NA players shooting the shit about NA.
Out.
Yeah.
You have some JP perspective as well, right, Lavigne?
Yeah, because I play on Gaia quite a bit.
There we go.
Yeah, which is, I was watching your stream, and it was like in Japanese, and I was like, all right. I thought I was bringing on an EU dude, but I guess like we're bringing on like the JP data center as well.
Something separate entirely. I started playing on JP because I started raiding there like 2 years ago, and my first character got blacklisted from half the groups in PF just because I had an English client. So I've just stayed on the JP client since.
Oh.
Be thinking about that. Like, it doesn't even matter if you know basic phrases. If their group says JP only, and you join, your client's like not JP, and they can tell you're not JP, they'll just blacklist you after 15 minutes.
I mean, we have had, it's weird. It's one of those real, unless if you're on Elemental. I don't think it's as bad on Elemental, is it?
Fire is like, they're a bit more hardcore.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I wanted to discuss PvP as a whole, from our perspectives and kind of what we've seen. A lot of us have been PvPing for quite a while. Mateo, how long have you been PvPing?
Well, I officially started Feast in the middle of season 3, but prior to that, I was around when like Marauder was OP in Frontlines. Not just Frontlines, I guess it was the Wolves Den back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or was it called the Fold? I think it was Fold later,
The
right?
Fold.
Or
Yeah.
the
Fold.
Wolves Den, right? No, the Fold. Yeah, there you go.
It was, yeah.
So around that time, I've been playing since 1.x, but like 1.x was like a casual thing. There wasn't any PvP then, but I came back to the Realm Reborn.
Okay.
Started there.
Sir, how long have you been doing PvP for?
So I started PvPing like consistently pre-season 1, like right when Feast got introduced. But I had done like a little bit of Frontlines, like a little bit of Wolves Den, the original Wolves Den, before that in a Realm Reborn. But nothing really consistently until Feast got introduced in the game during the first preseason.
Okay. Lavigne?
Yeah, I started, I think, around the same time as Mateo, so like season 3. I originally started on Aether because the EU data centers used to be based in Canada along with the NA ones, so I didn't feel like I started where I started until I realized that Feast only queues pops at a certain time, and being GMT for that was not good, so that's why I moved back to Europe. But I came from WoW as a rank 1 healer, so I kind of already knew how to play this style of PvP, but the engine took some getting used to.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, when we're talking about Final Fantasy 14 PvP, in my experiences at least, the mode is, similar to what you would expect from an MMO, I guess, in general when talking about PvP, but it is different. It feels different. It feels unique kind of in its own way. I mean, this what Feast evolved into, where it's a coin-based system and kind of a back and forth. I don't know if you guys have a lot of experience with other MMOs, but do you know if there's any other MMO that kind of plays in that same style?
Never seen it. This is like the old Fold mode we used to have before Feast. I would say that's the closest thing you'd get to like seeing the same thing in any other MMO. Feast is like something completely unique to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely its own thing. It's really unique. I think Feast is like amazingly well designed, but it's got other issues that we'll probably talk about later.
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of times when we talk about this stuff, it does go around the issues and everything. And we're all jaded veteran players that have been a part of the Feast for a while. Although, I've taken a semi-break throughout this expansion. I feel like Square Enix has as well with PvP. But I don't know. It just, it's after the last expansion and kind of all the hype and like all the changes and all the modes and everything else that was happening, like going to this expansion, it just definitely doesn't feel like the same level of involvement, right?
Yes, 100%. There was a lot of excitement coming into 5.x.
Yeah,
because they ended on such a high note, right, with FRC.
I think it always seemed like when Feast first started, and I guess we'll talk a good bit about Feast here to start off with. When Feast first started, it was one map, the feasting grounds, and you'd kind of go back, and it was interesting. It had different platforms, and it was like, you ran around the side of it, and it was just a big boat. It felt great to play on. It was kind of big and huge, and the time was a little bit, I think it was 8 minutes, right?
Yes.
Was the original
Oh,
time?
yeah.
Believe it or not, it started out as 10.
Oh,
Then it
did
went
it?
down to 8.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah. When it was like that, everybody was kind of getting into it. It was you're using your original abilities and everything else, with a few extra little spicy abilities for PvP. And I feel like it went well, but people, of course, I don't know. Was there a lot of memeing on the mode back then when it was the original design for Feast?
I mean, there was still cynicism back there, but I mean, I don't really think so. It was still like such a new mode, and everything was still new back then, like the reward structure, like the first 4 seasons of Feast and Heaven's Word before we got the revamp of PvP. Everyone was still really excited because we got the 2 armor sets, and then after that we got 2 Hellhound mounts, which everyone wanted, and then that lasted us all the way until Stormblood. So in terms of memeing on the mode, I don't really think so. There was still like stuff people complained about, but I mean that's playing video games. You know, people will find stuff to complain about regardless of the current
Well, I mean,
situation.
because there was like a change. We had the fold, which the mode was you die and you're done, right? Unless you get rezzed. I think you could get rezzed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we moved into this feast mode, and no one was like, "Oh, I miss fold," right?
Yeah,
I
I didn't
remember
really
that.
have a lot of overlap with the like fold PvP community back then. So
Mhm.
I'm probably not a very good person to
Fair.
ask about that.
I mean,
But,
we were all just like starting right after fold start to die out. I think, right? None of us was like really. I remember one time, back when Joe was playing, he
Joe Never?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe Never. Sorry, yeah. There's a different Joe. It was amazing. I love Joe, but Joe Never. We were having a PvP, and we're like, we wanted to face off and have a match against each other. They're like, okay, turn your language to Dutch, and then like queue up at the same time for the fold so we could get in and fight each other. And I remember it, and it just didn't feel. I guess it felt kind of like WoW PvP. I mean, WoW PvP is kind of like that, isn't it? You just die and you're done.
Yeah, if from what I recall, like my brief experience in the fold was like I saw a bunch of guys kind of like standing around, and then one of them became my teammates. Like Stragus was there, and it's fun. They were getting ready for them, and I was idolizing them because they were streaming it at that time. I was like, wow, this is really intricate. So like the high level, the quote unquote high level team matches in the fold were actually really interesting. They would go on for honestly, I think I've seen matches go up to like 30 minutes or something, like run the full clock. Yeah, because Battle Res, right? It was like I think you weren't locked to melee, so you could have like 2 ranged, for example, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was basically team deathmatch, and it was pretty interesting. Going in with classes and stuff, like I said, Marauder earlier. I would pop like Bloodbath and all this other stuff, and it was an experience. But it definitely wasn't that. It wasn't the play in terms of long term.
Yeah. I remember that because I think it was 2014 FanFest. I think we were going up on the little event, the PvP event or whatever, and there was a frontline versus Maelstrom versus Adders versus so on. Whoever knows what the other one's called. And then you were. We were fighting, and they're like, yeah, just go Marauder and just throw as many abilities on there as you can and just go to town.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
I hated cross class. I actually hated it.
Yeah, everybody ever hated it, I think. I don't think anybody liked it.
Because especially like I was like, oh, I want to play like something else. I remember I got like a monk to 60 finally when the Heaven's Ward was out. I was like, I can't want to play monk, and then I realized I'd have to level Dragoon for blood, and I was like, nah, I can't be bothered to play it now. Because leveling stuff from 1 to 15 was just abstract hell.
Yeah. I remember. And then, like, there's some jobs you had to level up to, like, 42 or 40 something. I forget what it was. But there's a lot of them. Like, if you wanted to raid, you had to go and get all these other jobs leveled up for the abilities, or you couldn't be as efficient in your raid.
The level 30 requirement change for PvP was one of the best things they ever did.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, people have complained like it made it a lot easier for people to like roulette and stuff in ranked because they didn't need as many like max level characters. But at the same time, for people that were good at playing multiple jobs, it was really nice to not have to have everything at 70 in Stormblood to play.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think that's one of the things that they really did well was make the barrier of entry a little bit easier, because before you had to like go do dungeons for gear.
And the rank system for the grant companies, that was also annoying as hell.
Yeah.
PvP Relic.
Yeah.
I actually had a couple PvP Relics, yeah.
Oh,
Allows you to
God,
level
I remember.
through PvP too. I got all my classes to 80 through PvP. I have no gear on any of them.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. I was like, holy crap, you don't... I was busy like leveling up in Basha, trying to get my other ones leveled up a little bit. I looked at your screen, I saw that, I was like, motherfucker. You know? I wish I was so good at PvP I could just roll whatever and like be not yelled at for playing a different job.
Dude, you know what that reminds me of? When Stormblood launched, there was that huge, I think it's Raubon issue, where he was like the roadblock, and you couldn't really like. I think there was you couldn't really level, right? Like there wasn't ways to level.
God,
So I remember this was like, yes. So I was on Balmung at the time, and mostly everybody that I knew was also on Balmung. So we're just like, hey, you know what? Let's just queue like Seal Rock, and a bunch of us like. For I think it was a long time. Honestly, it was like a couple days before it got settled.
Yeah,
maybe even something like that. It took a while. So we were just like we were like level I think 70 was the cap for Heaven's Word. Yeah.
No, it was 60
so
was Heaven's Word, but
60,
I mean like Stormblood was 70.
Stormblood was yeah. So we were level 70 in Stormblood before anyone else without even doing any like content because I think it was increased EXP as well for. At that time, if you won in Seal Rock, I think it was quite a large chunk, which they kind of nerfed a little bit. But we just spammed like Seal Rock like all day. It's like, hey, let's go. We had like Next Cross and stuff. He's like, let's go play. Like, all right, fine. Like, and it was fun. Yeah,
might as well. I mean, it was good work. I remember that. I do remember that, and I also remember being like extremely excited for Stormblood because that's when they introduced like all the huge changes for Feast.
Yes.
Right. That was everyone was like, well, it doesn't look very, I remember everyone would be very hesitant about it because they're like, well, we're going to have like 6 actions.
Oh my God. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Really, really quick. I remember watching the PvP preview montage and I was with a couple of people in voice chat and we're like, okay, this is it, boys. So what are we going to see? And I think there was a Lawful Dragoon, something like that. And he used jump and something else. And they're like, that's it. That's all he has. We're like, what? Like, they showed, like the PvP ability list. And there was like 8 or 9 abilities or whatever. It's pretty funny. We're like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, they're taking away like 30 plus buttons. Like,
yeah. And then it's funny because then we were expecting something like that for Shadowbringers too, like a similar preview like that, and we got nothing. We were like, "Oh no, what's happening?"
Yeah, when I was at the media tour, like I was like, "I'm gonna be the guy who gets the PvP information." I know, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make this my whole thing. Is I'm gonna get all the PvP information.
They had the
it was disabled.
But the execution was poor.
What?
They had the right idea in Stormblood, it was just the execution. Because Blood and Bloat doesn't necessarily mean the game is good. I know some people take that as why Heaven's Wall was the Holy Grail because of how much you had to do. But the issue is that for the vast majority of people, that's not really a fun way to play. I mean, I thought 5.0 was perfect, and then for whatever reason, they decided to change it again.
It was really nice, yeah.
Yeah, they did, so 5.0, they brought in new abilities, though, right? I mean, like, is it, like, at the right... Would you guys say right now Feast has the right amount of... Or, well, PvP in general has the right amount of abilities for jobs?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think there's room to add more abilities just because of the need to have macros and stuff for some abilities to make them easier to use in PvP. Okay. I think there's not much real estate left, like button-wise, to fit more abilities on there because, at least assuming for Feast, you have to have these macros for your teammates. You have to have quick chat stuff bound. You got to have all your other stuff. So we're like at button cap right now, I think, for Feast. You can probably fit way more if you just do front lines or something, but at least for like competitive Feast, I think there's not much real estate to work with.
Okay.
That's very true, actually. When I had to switch my hotbar from Feast to Frontlines to Rival Wings, and whenever I go into the larger scale modes, I'm always like, oh, I have so much room. Like, I'm okay. Like, the pings take up a lot, and then there's certain macros, like Suhr said. And just kind of thinking about it, too, like, I wonder what their decision was to make it less buttons. Because I feel like it's almost like they try to eliminate a little bit of that, like the skill stealing, do you know what I'm saying, for certain individuals. I
think they want to just clean it up. Because I think 3.x was just, like, a big mess. Right? They're just like, let's try it, right? Let me just throw all right, here's some extra PvP abilities. See what you can do. You have your PvE stuff. I mean, maybe that'll be good, and you'll just use that. And then every once in a while, like a little spicy. What was this? God, what was the machinist one? The machinist had a crazy one, didn't it?
Between the eyes.
Was it between the eyes? Was that a PvP? Yeah, that's a PvP only action. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they had a whole bunch of stuff, and they're like, "Well, this is unmanageable. Like, we can't balance this." And that's what I assumed the conversation was. We were doing all this other shit. How the fuck are we going to balance PvP and PvE and try to keep it all, kosher between everybody? And they were probably like, because they did do some stuff. Like, they nerfed some abilities, I think, when they went into PvP. Is that right?
They nerfed
like Swiftcast had a 50% potency in PvP because of that.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There was also damage fall off from bards and stuff. Like, like you could see in the tooltips in Heavensward, like there were specific PvP things in some of the ability tooltips, and it was very messy. So I think the separation between PvE and PvP abilities and having like specific PvP kits for jobs was, I think, in the long run, a very good move.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like managing it now and balancing the two.
Yeah, and so they just wanted to get a hold on it. They were just like, well, fuck, we're gonna, Yoshida wants this to, and I'm speaking on my ass. I don't really know what the conversations were at the developer side, but I'm assuming they're like, hey, Yoshida wants us to like try to make a good PvP mode for the MMO, because he stated multiple times he wanted like esports in Final Fantasy XIV. Like publicly, he said that.
One day.
Yeah, and so I know the movement for him was like, hey, get PvP going, let's do this. And they're like, well, we have to do something that we have to have ability to manage what you're asking us to do and make it balanced and everything else. So they did that, and I don't know what happened 4.x and going on. It's just like they didn't really do much more. Like they did this whole thing where they're like, okay, when did Lichen Weed come out?
Was it Heavensward?
Yeah, it was like the last season of Heavensward. I think it was like
Last
season 4.
Okay, so they brought that out, and they're like, all right, cool, we got 2 maps now. We're going forward. We're gonna have new abilities in the expansion. It's gonna be centered around, focused on all that good stuff. And then they're like, all right, this is awesome. And then they said, hey, you know what? Let's fucking just make 1 map. Did they made no? Did they? Were we allowed to play all 3 maps at once, or was it when they introduced the new Circle Arena? Was that like, oh, you only play the Circle Arena?
Whatever
it was the Circle Arena.
It was just the Circle Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is
so
the worst map we've ever had, by the way.
Some people liked it, man. Some people did like it.
I thought they had a cool ability with it because it had like different wall presets that would change like randomly when you zoned in. So like that
did excite me.
It was like you technically have 4 maps, but it's really just 1 because it's a giant circle.
Oh my god, the worst thing that they did for that though was just respawn wherever you die, like right away.
That's why I hated it. That's exactly why I hated that map, because that's all I can remember. That map plus instant respawn was a bad combination.
That was so rough.
Yeah, not having like set bases meant that like once you got a lead, you could just kind of run around in a circle and kite them around.
That's why they had to nerf CC, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the real though, like just thinking of all the different maps that we've had really makes me miss having those in the rotation. Like at this point, I would honestly take the circle map into the rotation some way. Now that we don't have that respawn, I would be like, okay, sure, it was bad, but I would like a little bit of a change. Like it would be nice.
We've been on the same map for like what, 3 to 4 years?
Yeah. There's some much needed variety right now at this point.
Yeah. So I think, they listen. A lot of people did complain about the respawning and the map like being a circle, how it doesn't really work out. And so they were like, fuck it, we got your bases back, we got all this. And it felt like, hey, they listened to us, they made a whole nother map. And then we kept, I think, giving more suggestions about, hey, let's do another map, and we just never really got one. Even just bringing back the old ones. Because you guys have played on the old ones.
Oh, be careful what you wish for.
Really?
The thing is, the way some jobs play now, they are not well designed for those older maps. We found this out when we were playing Red Mage in the original Feasting Grounds map. It was just way too strong.
The original map is too big now.
Yeah, because it's so big, and Red Mage is like the only real like range of any kind of mobility that's like really good.
Okay. So they'd have to rebalance like those maps completely. Well, I mean, they could just go back to those maps and then get rid of some of the issues, size them down a little bit, and just alter them, right?
It's fixable, but it's not really the basket that time has proven they're going to put the resources into.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really know. So let's talk about that going forward. What we know, PvP wise, the only thing they've announced, I think, at all, was the new PvP mode, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They haven't announced new maps. They haven't announced anything. They said that Feast it will likely be disabled for a little while. Is that right?
I read that interview a couple of times, and it's like high probability of Feast being deleted.
I still don't trust that.
They didn't say delete it, but they said not able to access. Yeah.
I think it's just corporate speak for we're disabling Feast for the foreseeable future.
It's getting the Astragalus treatment.
Yeah, it's they're not putting like a definitive like goodbye Feast message out there, but that's basically what it is.
But
you really think so? Like that's it? Oh, sorry.
I mean, it's possible that could be it. I mean, and that would suck, just because the other thing that they said about the new mode is that it's going to be more casual friendly, right? Like it's not going to be as competitive.
That what you just said right there, quoting the interview, scares the bejesus out of so many players that I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's definitely like the most concerning thing heading into Endwalker that we have to look forward to the PvP. Because we have casual modes already in Frontline and Rival Wings, and so what we can confirm is that our competitive mode that has its issues, but we all love to play and we spend a lot of time playing it, and it's it's a competitive outlet for us. It's being removed and replaced with a third casual mode that is being openly told to us is a casual mode, and we don't know how to take that because they have a habit of saying stuff and not really giving you any definitive answers until the game comes out or the mode comes out in the patch. And so we're kind of just sitting here saying, is this going to be a suitable replacement to Feast for someone like me who really loves Feast and I play Feast all the time? Or is this going to be something that, it's a PvP mode, but it just doesn't do it for me anymore?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's scary because I mean, if we take that away, or are we just all going to become crafters? And just
I don't know, man.
Compete the leaderboard for crafters. I mean, we could all do. There's just no way to really replace the player versus player stuff. I mean, we have leaderboards for other things like Palace of the Dead and such. But that's like a very friendly, very very friendly type of competition. Where they're just kind of having fun with it. This is like actual competitive, hey, we're trying to win as much as we can and beat other players, which I don't get. I'm going to be honest, I don't get that from Frontlines. I don't get it from large-scale PvP. And I never have, no matter what MMO I play. It's very hard for me to get excited and be like, oh, I'm in this map and I'm making a difference, unless if I have a full team, which I don't have full teams of people go to the front lines. Most people don't. I mean, some people do, but most people don't. So the Feast is the outlet right now. If I wanted to be like, hey, I'm going to bash players' heads in and feel like I'm skilled at a competitive mode versus other players, Feast is it. Like, I don't play Triple Triad for that. I was hoping, way back when it first came out, I was hoping it would be like that. I don't play Lords of Verminion for that. I don't play Chocobo Racing for that. So I don't know. And there's not even Light Party Feast anymore. Really, I mean, it exists but it's not like leaderboard like Square Enix kind of following and giving people rewards for, right?
Yeah,
there's rough. We had to make one.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's what basically Coliseum of Chaos is. It's supposed to be a substitute for a light party season because we're not sure if we're going to get one.
No, you're not. You're not.
That's
one
why,
thing-
like we're saying, if Feast goes, please at least leave us with the ability to make custom still.
Yeah, that's what I think everyone's hoping for. We all know it's going to be, disabled, but we want the ability to at least do custom games still. Just leave it in as an option for us.
So
Right.
that's actually very interesting to talk about right now. And so if there is there's no more feast seasons, you can't queue up for ranked anymore, but you can only queue up for custom mode, and the new PvP mode isn't very competitive. Would players just make their own community for feast and play and make their
it
own
would be live
leaderboards and
support.
everything else?
It would be live support.
Hmm.
Because we're not going to have the new blood coming in. So eventually, a lot of the vets will just retire faster
I don't
than we'll
know.
get the new blood in.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, you won't get rewards for it for sure. So I mean, that might not like drive players to do it. I don't know, because I mean, people, if it's seen enough, right? The events that people like, community events and everything, is actually being displayed somewhere, and they're like excited and they want to like try to compete in this and everything else. Maybe if those events had enough rewards to incentivize them doing it as well, then the player hosted stuff could bring in new people, and you could have minor league stuff, I guess, in these community events. So I don't know, maybe it could, and maybe not having solo queue out there to distract players with will make these other communities succeed a little bit better, wouldn't it?
I mean, I see that point of view, purely because we had like 4 teams, 3 or 4 teams at least, that signed up for Coliseum, and the people in those teams are names none of us have ever seen before. So these are guys that have just seen the advertisement and just decided to sign up for it, even though they are most probably going to get smashed.
Yeah. I mean, if you have enough people, you can separate, like, you can have tiered leagues or whatever else, and have people in lower leagues or whatever else. You have like one big just placement event, and everybody gets placed, and then they get into their leagues, and then after that they can go up or down depending. I don't know. I've thought about this a lot throughout. I remember back in Stormblood, all I thought about was like how to do this stuff and how to make these kind of community events happen and be successful in some way. And so I thought about different tiers, ranking system. I made SQL databases to try to calculate and make a ranking system that would work on a website, and I never produced it. But all the plans were there to make it, and
I was so excited.
Yeah. It's just hard. It's difficult.
I want to be the devil's advocate for a quick second.
Sure, do it.
I do want to say that here's something to think about, right? How many Final Fantasy XIV players, like what's the percentage of players that actually complete, let's say Savage raids and Ultimate raids?
100%.
I don't think they're very high, right? Like
There's
I
a
don't know.
graph of that somewhere.
I think there was. I think I saw it. It's very low. Maybe like a quarter of the population for Savage. I'm just guessing, but so it makes you think, right? Like if this, I wouldn't call it competitive, but I would say challenging environment, of Savage rating. Well, sure, it's competitive when it's world first. It's amazing. These guys are incredible, right? But the actual challenging, it almost makes me feel like a lot of players that play this game aren't really interested in that sort of gameplay. See what I'm saying? And I'm not sure what else could bring them into it other than just like a really nice carrot on a stick. Because just reading what TJ said, it's people care playing Feast for rewards or just playing anything for rewards. So now, like, this armor that we have is probably the best looking armor we've had for PvP, for ranked ladder. So now you see a lot of people that are generally not very interested in this sort of thing. They're like, oh wait, I actually want to get this. Like, I actually want to improve. So it just makes me think like maybe it is time for them to start a fresh new slate. Like with actual new PvP, not call it the Feast anymore. Maybe even like have the same mechanics, just don't call it Feast, so people aren't as jaded when it comes to the actual mode.
Don't call it Feast anymore, or are you just gonna call it
Don't call it Feast,
or like something?
Just call it Frosty's Battleground and
Call it
Frosty's
Snack.
Battle.
You call it what? Sorry, Lavigne?
Call it Snack.
Snack, yeah, call it
Smaller
snack.
feast.
Yeah,
You know
boss
what? If
snack.
they do make it like a smaller mode than feast, snack would be like the perfect
Yeah,
name
yeah.
for it.
Now, I remember
Um,
when they did announce this new mode. I mean, they did make a point of saying that they're revamping the reward structure for it, and I remember Yoshi saying that like they're putting stuff that people want in it. So
Mhm.
whatever that is, that's up in the air. But knowing that there's a change in the reward structure is probably a good thing because I mean, current feast reward structure, like I personally don't have an issue with it, but I can also see where some complications of that lie. Where a season ends and you get your cool reward, and you're wearing it out around town, and someone messages you and they're like, "Hey, that looks awesome. Where can I get it?" And then you have to tell them, "Oh, you can't get it anymore.
Mhm.
The time has passed already. You should have been
oh,
playing the last 3 months."
I tell
Yeah.
him, oh, you can't get it more.
Yeah,
I throw in that like gloat at the
we
end.
all do that, but it's like that right there is a potential person who could get into PvP and start
Mhm.
playing it. And if they're inquiring about a reward that you can't get anymore, and maybe that reward they're asking about is the recolor, so now the chance to get both the previous versions of that reward are just completely gone. Then you just lost someone that could have
So
been a potential PvPer.
I've always been of the mind, and not everyone completely agrees with me on this, but any season reward that has happened that is currently unavailable, uh, bring it back and make it some duller version of what it was, and
Sure.
put it into like some a way for people to get it. Um, so like for example the chair, right, instead of having the blue or purple one, you can have one that doesn't look as exciting, take off a few of the I don't know, little curves or art that's on it or something else, and just make it exist. People will still want it, uh, but you still have that, oh wow, this is a replica and not the real
Yeah.
version. But they would be happy with it, I think.
I mean, WoW does something like that. When I'm not sure if they still do it because I quit around season 25, but when you did like normal battlegrounds and stuff, you got a version of a gear. But when you did ranked above a certain rating, you got a different version of the gear that basically used to light up, have flames that used to like animate on the shoulders and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it was
Super
almost
cool.
the same set, but you could tell the difference because of certain animations that were in the gear.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Because I think exclusivity of some sort is nice, right? It's good to encourage people to go for it. If you feel like you're just going to get it from something easier later on, maybe you won't be as inspired to get it. But if you have flames coming out of the pipes of the chair versus not having them later on, maybe you'll try to go for it and just see if you could do it. And if you don't get it, oh well, you'll just get whatever happens next.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I personally don't have any issue with them adding past rewards, like past
Same.
feast rewards to, some sort of vendor, so long as the way you get them is through the method that you had to get them originally. So
Yeah.
I'm cool with them implementing, past feast rewards, but you have to play ranked feast to get them. It can't be just, oh, let me do 20,000 wolf marks, because we all know that that's nothing. That
Mhm.
takes no effort to get. So, we have a system in place already with wolf collars, and we've
Yeah.
been saying for years that this is a really good system that they can expand on and get
Yeah.
people interested in PvP and playing it long term, and they just never have. It's only been these weapons that don't match any armor in the game because they're designed for a past feast, a past feast season reward that you can't get
Mhm.
anymore. So it's like, we have this amazing foundation system that you can add stuff to,
Mhm.
but they just never have over the last, what is it, 4 years now since they implemented it. They've only added 2 extra weapons for Gunbreaker and Dancer.
Right.
Mhm. And
One,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say one PVE equivalent that I can think of to what Lavigne was saying is when Alexander, the creator, that tier when that came out. I
Mhm.
remember the normal tier raid, like the equipment was different than the
Mhm.
actual Savage tier raid. So that was like really interesting to me. I think I really wanted like the fending piece, the fending body
Mhm.
piece at that time, and the normal just didn't compare to the to the Savage one. And I
Mhm.
was like happy with that. I was like, this is cool. This is how it should be,
Yeah.
not just like a recolor or whatever.
Yeah, now you can change the colors. I mean, it is nice to be
Yeah.
able to change the colors on the gear.
Hmm.
But you're right. If it did have a little bit more to it than that, it would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And I honestly, and again, I don't know. But if I had to like assume, I don't feel like Square Enix has a lot of dedicated people on PvP. And so that's where a lot of the issues come in. But I mean, I would love to hear different. I would love the communication just really isn't there currently. And I don't know, maybe we just don't use the forums enough, guys. Maybe we should be using the forums more.
I only found out recently that apparently those forums aren't actually run by SE. There's a third party that apparently is responsible for them. Is that true?
I think that's true. In a way, that's true. SE does monitor, and that's how they gather most of their information. But
that's tough to find out.
Yeah, but I do think that there is, other ways they get information, everything else. But official forums is something that is watched, and if it gets attention, it gets brought up to the developers. So that's usually the best way to handle it. But EU doesn't really use the forums, do they?
Most of us are banned, and those of us that aren't banned have sort of given up on it because we don't really mind when changes are bad or ill thought through. It's just it would have been nice to have been told or spoken to about them first. Even if we don't get to change them, it's nice to get a heads up because, as at the start of 5.x was like the worst example of getting really bad communication, and then they just said, you know what, you cried about not having a season, here's a season. Like, no, not like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think communication is by far one of the biggest issues in PvP for this game.
Mm-hmm.
I can only remember on hand one single forum post from a Square Enix employee for this entire expansion in relation to PvP. It was Clem talking about the Hellhound weapons.
Right.
So, like, communication has been an issue. It was all right actually in Stormblood. I remember them giving us feedback on job changes one patch, explaining why the changes were happening, and like that was like that was a good direction to be going in. But
didn't that guy quit?
It's been scaled back. I'm not sure if they quit or not, but it's been scaled back to the point now where I can only assume maybe the communication has stopped when they decided that they're going to work on a new PvP mode and sort of sunset Feast. I mean, there's all these potentials that we can talk about, but I
like how you said sunset. I just watched I watched a movie recently that was like a crime movie or something, and they're like, sunset this car, and I'm like, what? And they crushed it. I'm like, oh, I get it. It's a mobster thing, it's just you go sunset something and you're like, sunset Feast. I'm like,
explains a lot about Suhr.
Yeah, explains a lot about Suhr. We can't see his face because he's like in some secret underground crime group or something. Oh, well, I do think I'm of the opinion that they are not officially deciding to end Feast completely, but they are, it is within possibility. They're going to probably try this new mode. They're going to see how things work out, how the players react to everything, how much attention all these changes get, how much attention you'll get in general for it. And if it turns out that the situation with PvP is much better without Feast, maybe they'll just leave it.
I've got a counterpoint to that.
Sure.
I think they are fully intent on deleting Feast because some of the things they stated about this new PvP mode, how they want to remove less of the burden on healers and stuff because games are like decided heavily by healers. And like how they want to introduce like self-sustain to everybody. It seems like we're going to get another revamp of like the entire PvP kit system for every job. And right now you can tell like jobs are designed with, very clear intentions as to how they operate in PvP. Like every tank has like a 15-second single target, defensive cooldown and like a 45-second AoE. And you got like a 2000 potency burst attack, like you can tell these jobs are designed to do certain things for Feast and for Frontline. But it makes me think that with this new mode being built from the ground up, that they are going to revamp all the jobs to not work in that way, and in turn not work correctly with how Feast really plays. And so now we're going to get this brand new mode, and we're going to have jobs that are designed to just not work in that environment at all. and they're gonna work in this new environment, and they'll work in Frontlines and stuff because Frontlines isn't really as coordinated as Feast, but the whole competitive balance and stuff of PvP kit design, it's gonna be completely scrambled up, and it's not gonna work in Feast anymore with how we play it.
Well, yeah, if
You end
they
up-
change that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say you'll end up with Glare doing the same damage as High Jump and Fell Cleave doing the same damage as like Death Flare or something.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be 16 different flavors of the same job, same role. However many jobs we have. How many jobs? I don't know anymore. 17, 18, 19?
17, I think.
I don't think so. I think with them, because like right now in Feast you have like a tank role, and they all do similar things, maybe in a few different ways. They all offer maybe like a different debuff or something, but for the most part, tanks all kind of operate in like a similar way. Same,
for sure.
same with healers, same with melee and all that stuff. I mean, they all have their different flavors, but they all operate in this role to do something specific. But with this new mode, it gives them the opportunity to delete that sort of role restriction for the jobs and make them just the job. So now, like, instead of Paladin needing to do these specific tank things that Warrior also needs to do and that Dark Knight needs to do, Paladin can just do Paladin stuff, and then Dark Knight can go do Dark Knight stuff, and they can design things to work in a way for PvP, but work unique to that job rather than unique to the role.
Okay.
Because they mentioned that role restrictions for the new PvP mode are going to be going away. So, your tank isn't going to be required to be doing very specific tank things anymore, like it is in Feast. And
But I mean,
melee
wouldn't that just turn into like whatever is the most overpowered job is going to be what's you're going to have however many of those in every party?
Probably, yeah. Probably.
Well, you have to look. Essie's perception it will be everyone's the same. What can possibly go wrong? Because as always, they underestimate how good the MMO PvP community is. Though I will find out what the best thing is. We will find out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there has been a role meta, a job meta, like this entire expansion, even last expansion too. So
Always.
It'll be interesting to see how they decide to balance this, or even if they even attempt to balance it, because with them throwing the word casual around, I mean, it's a worrying sort of statement, because it makes me feel like they are just going to throw a mode together and just say, here you go. We're not going to spend time trying to balance this anymore like they do with Feast.
I mean, that's true. I mean, okay, so tell me, and this may sound stupid, but how much time do they spend about trying to balance Feast right now? Have they done a pretty good job over this expansion with it?
5 minutes a week.
Okay.
Okay. I want to say something on that.
Sure.
Actually, so I firmly believe that Feast was not even supposed to be activated, quote unquote, this expansion. I firmly believe. Seriously, I seriously believe that Frontlines and Rival Wings was supposed to tide us over until the new mode. I think them releasing Feast on Christmas, we're like, hey, here you go, you whiny bitches. Here's Feast, but we're not going to give you Wolf College for it because we're just not, because we're only introducing the 2 new jobs here, but doesn't matter, you're not going to earn it. So I seriously think that right now, the PvP kit is basically designed around the big scale mode. It's not actually designed around Feast. I think pots, for example, we all hate it first, now we're getting used to it, blah, blah, blah. The activation time is still pretty terrible at times.
It's so bad.
Right? So I think for the large scale modes, pots are incredible. Really, really good. They feel good, because you don't need like always like a pocket healer or whatever if you're not playing healer. So like I said, I seriously think we were not even supposed to have Feast this expansion. I think we were not. I think the ranked mode, was going to be the crafting thing or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And I think Frontlines. I think the biggest focus for like 6 months, or even like a year, we didn't get anything. It was like Onsol for such a long time. It was just Onsol. Like, here, beat your head against Onsol for however long. You know what I mean? And it was fun. Like I enjoyed it. Onsol was great. It still is. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. There's more players who play Frontlines than they do Feast, right?
Yeah, big time.
So they see, I think, Frontlines as a success versus Feast.
It's a good point.
So I mean, I don't know if that's like part of their realization of like, hey, we need to probably put, if we're going to do PvP stuff, put more resources into like stuff like front lines instead of feast, just because it's just not working out. Again, it's really hard to tell. And again, a reason why we just have to make assumptions and talk out our ass is just because we don't have information. We just have to guess.
Yep.
Yes. The one thing I know that they communicated in the past is the way that they balance certain jobs is pending on how they perform in the leaderboards and how many active players are actually on it. So quick and dirty example, Ninja. Ninja last season, you had, I think it was on 8th. I don't know if it was on the other data centers, but there was like 3 ninjas in the top 10 that scored really high. I was one of them. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, Tricky Tech. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I'll give you guys another example.
Yeah, you're the reason. No, that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's me, dude. Sorry. It was Black Mage at some point. I forget what season it was. They're like, no, there's too many Black Mages playing, and they're getting too high up. Or for example, they'd say not enough players are playing, like Machinist or something. Therefore, we're gonna adjust this way. But their actual, when it comes to adjusting jobs for the feast, is based on the leaderboard. Yeah, it's how they perceive the leaderboard. I don't know if that's all regions. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how detail oriented they are in this, but this is definitely something that they have communicated to us. Yeah. I think it was USGP in an interview that.
Then we had White Mage and Stormblood that was really good for way too long because of the Lily reset, and it took them like 4 seasons to fix it.
So, I guess, balance, I do feel like it, and maybe this sounds horrible and jaded again, is that PvP is just like, okay, we have it, it's out there, it exists, you can't complain because it exists, and then they go off and do whatever else, and then every once in a while they come back and check the temperature.
I think Mateo's theory was spot on, and I think the reason why it came unstuck literally was just because of COVID. If there wasn't such long content droughts and people screaming for seasons, they would have probably gotten away with it.
I think so. I really do, because there's so much. Because really, it was the biggest debate actually when they, they released Feast on Christmas, Merry Christmas. And then that lasted for actually, I think the season. You guys can correct me. I think it was like almost like half a year. It was
so long. Dude.
It was ridiculous.
That was the season after.
Oh, my apologies. Okay, but anyway, during that season where they released it on Christmas, we did not have Wolf Call reward. So I was personally getting like really excited. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna stop this. And I think they specifically mentioned it's like we're gonna implement new Wolf Caller rewards. Emphasis on new Wolf Caller. And I was like, okay, right? And I was like, okay, awesome. Like, this is great. You're actually going to do something with that ancient, participation, pretty much, rewards. And I was like, this is going to be great for anybody who wants to join in and get some cool stuff. But no. The next season they came back, okay, here you go, guys. We locked it for this season. But this season, guess what? Now you can get Dancer and Gunbreaker Hellhound weapons, which look okay, by the way.
I'm assuming it was to stop people buying them the moment they came out. That was my guess. That's the sort of way I'd expect them to think. So,
I guess so. Yeah.
What's crazy for that is that okay, we had Shadowbringers launch. All right, we didn't get a feast season until like 5.1, like halfway through 5.1. So we have the launch period to the first patch, and then halfway through that, like we didn't get a feast season until like 6 months into the expansion, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to wait for that season to end, and that first season we got didn't give us Wolf Callers. So if you have, let's say you're a new player and you want to get into PvP, you have to wait over a year essentially to even get your very first Wolf Callers to even get a reward. And if you don't get top 100 or you don't get top 10, you got to wait until the season after that to even be able to buy one of them. It was like a massive mishandling of just rewards.
Yeah.
Not helped by the fact that 5.0 we all practiced and did like LP and all that kind of stuff for like several months, and then when the season dropped we ended up getting something that was completely different from what we've been practicing for the last 6 months in the preseason.
So when 5.0 came out, I think it was fun, but I think right from the get-go we could all realize it was not finished.
Astrologian was busted. Astrologian was busted.
At least for me, like 5.0 PvP design there was a lot of really cool ideas in it, but you could tell it was not balanced. It was not made well at all. I thought there was really cool ideas, but it just didn't work. And we had like medals back then still, and the debuffs that came with them, and it was
but we had cover.
it was a mess. I mean, you would have feast games with 40 kills. Like
Yes,
there was no semblance of balance or flow to the game like we do now. So you know that second PvP revamp we got this season, where it actually stuff got more solidified, was good, but you know it sort of locked you into those roles, like I was saying, where you just have like a specific purpose in feast matches, and you know we'll see what they do with that in the next expansion.
So I guess I'd like to ask you guys just a little bit outside of Feast. Like we're you know deep analyzing and talking about the particulars of Feast. Are people who mostly do frontlines, are they upset about PvP at all?
Frontline roulette. See you later.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in frontlines are frontline roulette people, and it sucks because you know frontlines is really fun when you got a team that wants to you know play and actually fight, but there's this weird mindset of people who queue for frontlines where they think fighting isn't like an objective in a PvP game mode. You know, you get the people that say, you know, focus objectives, stop fighting. Where you know one of the major mechanics in frontlines is you know building up a buff you get through fighting to let you fight better and win in the late game. So there's this weird mindsets in frontlines where I don't know what goes through people's heads sometimes.
Well, people don't know what they're doing, right? And so the end idea is just hoping the other two teams fight each other, and you just kind of leech in the background and win.
Yeah. When I was new to front lines, like the first front line that I remember playing was Shatter, and the first thing I noticed in Shatter was the points I got were from literally doing anything other than attacking other players. Yes, attacking other players gave me points, but I got more points from helping out with ice, and that automatically taught me from an early point, don't PvP.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but there is one thing that's actually for frontline specifically. It is region dependent. I'm not sure about EU. I haven't played frontlines on EU, but I would imagine it's not far too different from NA frontlines. However, Japanese data centers, their frontlines are very, very different than ours. I think you can probably speak a lot more on that, Lavigne, but it's kind of I think that's probably how it was intended to play.
I only do frontlines in JP for that exact reason. It's extremely enjoyable the way that they play it there because one person tends to lead in every single alliance, and they have like a million macros set up to tell you when to go in and burst, when to go back out, which point they're going to next, and then they have like arrow ashes to like tell you which direction to start heading in. It's so cool.
Yeah, I have that for Crystal also, but it's just, you know, sometimes getting people to get in that mindset to follow those calls is like really difficult. And then sometimes they don't have the ability to even fight.
They just want EXP.
Yeah, I can't count how many times you zone in and you see a person saying, I'm just here for the hair. Haha.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, why do you even say that, dude?
Yeah.
There's certainly a lack of respect for the content. I know it's like a meme, like, respect the content, blah, blah, blah. But realistically, I think I'm not sure if it's like a culture thing or if it's like, you know, there's already like this meme surrounding PvP and there's just stigma, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think I've seen a single other game, MMO, that literally memes so hard on PvP in that game. Like, wow, they're not like LOL PvPers, right?
They actually respect the PvPers, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a whole different scenario. And then, like, if you talk about, maybe there's other MMOs like that, but, like, I can't even think of it.
I think that's like a bigger community issue with this game in general, is that there's this weird stigma around PvP in this game where people who don't even PvP, they've never touched PvP before in their entire life, will die on their hill saying that PvP is the worst thing ever. Yes. And they know nothing about it, they've never played it, they have no experience with it, but they will get into every single conversation and every single debate saying that PvP is the worst thing ever. And it's really remarkable seeing just how much like objectively wrong things get said about PvP by people, like on Twitter posts on the official Square Enix accounts, or on forums, or even like when they rarely cover PvP in the live letters, like you see people just spamming the sleeper remote and stuff, and it's like these people I can as a PvPer, you can see it immediately who's actually experienced with the modes and who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't. You know, like someone right there saying "Feast killed my parents." Like you will literally see people say that, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like,
unironically, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no, and I think, well, a part of it, I mean, there's a lot to blame for that kind of scenario. It's also, became this thing to where the jaded veterans of PvP also, mimic those things as well. And they'll say, LOL PvP, and then when outsiders see that, they're like, oh, of course it's, a big joke, but at this point, no one gives a fuck anymore. They just, we're not trying to fix the community anymore. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, the community could be absolutely amazing, by the way. And there's a lot of people out there that are fun to talk to and everything else. There's, of course, people who get heated and talk shit every once in a while, but that's PvP.
Yeah. It's one of the rare competitive aspects of this game, and it's unfortunate that they're removing it. And so, whatever this new mode is going to be, like, is that going to be able to scratch the same itch? Because
we go into Discords and say this guy doesn't fucking know what he's doing in this small scale road.
Yeah,
he's not collecting the apples. Whatever.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's pretty tame. That's pretty tame.
Feast is one of the few areas in this game where you can be competitive and you can,
You can express yourself, man.
Yeah, and you can, like, objectively say, you're doing something right, because, like, you
get
even
into some pretty in-depth conversations where someone has a theory about why you suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then you have to, like, explain yourself, and then every once in a while, hopefully it jives out, and then, like, the right answer comes. But there could be some pretty heated discussions on people sucking in this game.
And imagine, PvP is the only area in the game where you can get an objective number of how much damage you did in this entire game.
It's true.
Don't do that in PvE, or else you'll get reported, man.
Well, the other thing is that number is kind of pointless a lot of the feast matches, though, isn't it? Like, you want a higher number, but, like, it doesn't always mean that you're following call-outs or anything else. You can produce a high number but just by doing AoE damage, right?
Yes and no.
You want a good number, but you want to get kills more than...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make a quick analogy when it comes to, like, PvP as a whole, I think, in this game, is let's say you start work at a hotel, right? And you're looking to move up. You're like, okay, I'm going to start as a receptionist. Right, so the receptionist is the equivalent of, to me anyway, is the equivalent of frontlines in this game's PvP, right? Because frontlines is like, it has a roulette, it's got 4 modes now. Okay, this is the most. You don't need as much skill, I guess, to enter it, right? So you're like, okay, I'm a receptionist now. I'm playing frontlines, blah blah blah. But then you're like, I want to go up. I learned a couple of mathematical equations, blah blah blah. I learned how to deal with guests. I don't know, whatever. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to go up to accounting. And then you're like, okay, the next mode is, rival wings. Because it's, now it's like putting you even closer together. It's not 3 teams, but it's 2 teams. And you have, like, these, that's sometimes, I guess, complex mechanics within rival wings, which are pretty cool themselves. You have these, the mechs themselves, and then, all this other stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. Right, so at that point it's like, okay, rival wings, you've graduated and you want to go up, and you're like, okay, I think I have skills to be a GM. And at that point you're like, okay, let me try, Feast, because at this point my own personal skills, they kind of come out and they really shine, and I can understand other people and blah blah blah. But I think a lot of people just don't get past that. Like, okay, frontline roulette, I'm just gonna stay receptionist forever. It's enough.
Yeah.
And at the same time, rival wing suffers from people got their rewards, and now. The rival Discord has to schedule runs, which is sad because the mode is interesting in itself, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you dilute all of that and you look at it, it's like, well, what the hell is Feast left with? Like, who's going to play Feast now?
Yeah.
So it's unfortunately not a very high player base.
Your analogy was okay. It was okay.
Right.
I'll give it like a 3 out of 5.
I have to remember, like, the target demographic of this game. Like, I only play frontlines for 5 hours a week tops, but I really enjoy those 5 hours I play frontlines. Now, when this new mode comes out, it may very well be that it's not competitive, so there's no ranks or anything, but I enjoy it for 5 hours a week, and Knowing this game's
Enough.
target demographic, if I log in for 5 hours a week to play that mode and then disappear and play something else, as far as SE is concerned, we've got it. We've got the right formula because I feel like that's kind of what they aim for.
I'm scared of what you just said because I think it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I really think that's actually like that. You hit the nail on that.
Feast, you kind of have to play most days, especially if you do not get the gold head start. You have to play it most days. It's just that simple. A lot of these new guys I'm seeing are playing about 400, 500 games in their first season to get on the board. That's playing pretty much every day. And that's not what SE actually want you to do.
That's true.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, like, that's just the leaderboard in general. You have other people trying to climb the leaderboard, and you have to keep pushing. And if you want to do Feast, and you want to climb that, you just have to get enough 50-50 wins to get into Diamond usually, right? I mean, I don't actually know what the leaderboards look like recently. Was it purely Diamond, or was there people in Platinum getting it as well?
Last season it was all Diamond.
On Chaos.
Was it all Diamond?
Yeah.
What was the
everywhere?
floor?
Yeah,
On Crystal it was like almost 2100, like
same
2080,
for
I
us.
think.
Yeah, 21-27 for us
It's
on
the
Chaos.
same for Aether, I think.
It was insane.
Okay.
For
So it's
Japanese
a little
data
bit
centers,
above the 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too far. Yeah.
Yeah, just right, pretty much 2100, I think, for most of the Western data centers.
And I think that's what we want it to be, right? We want it to be above Diamond. We want it to be where people who win more than they lose are at the top of the leaderboard, right?
Yes.
Yes, but this probably isn't what SE wants.
Maybe. I don't know. I do feel like that 50-50, if it started like sooner, like where Platinum is now, it might be a little bit better. I could be insane for saying that, but having that point system, that floor of the 50-50 existing lower makes it to where people aren't playing as much until you get to that point. And so you don't have to put as many hours in there to get the default, okay, I'm an average player, I deserve to be somewhere reward, right?
It's like such a variable though, because I had to start from 0 last season because I moved my London character of Light, and after 600 games I was 2500. Zach played about 200 for 3k, which is ridiculous. Like the amount of, you have to put way less time into it for like a way better result. He's also a way better player, but it's like that's how much the variable is, and that could be the difference between you having to queue every day and being able to play very little.
I think it also correlates to like the rewards themselves. Like if you look at all three of the modes do have rewards attached to them. All three of the modes have participation rewards attached to them. Feast is the only one that requires you to actually progress and have past Diamond, a positive win rate. So it's a matter of like, okay, I can grind out frontlines. I can literally queue almost whenever. I think it pops around the clock. Bio Wings, okay, I'll join the Revival Discord and I'll check when the schedule is and we go from there. Cool, okay, I can plan it. But Feast is like up and down, you know what I mean? It's amazing. The first 2 weeks, it's like popping off the hook. It's like morning to night all the time. And it's like anything else in this game, really. Is like once it's fresh new content, it's going to get like just farmed to death within the first 2 weeks or whatever. And then after that, it's going to slow down again. Everyone else is going to go do whatever else they do. And Feast falls in the same way. I mean, it's still active right now. It's good.
So I want to just, my 2 cents, and I say this recently I've been saying this all the time, because this entire expansion, I've been doing a lot of raid focused things. It was doing Party Finder. And so a lot of people do complain, hey, it takes like queues for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they're kind of shitty. You got to queue at the right time. Have you ever fucking tried to do Party Finder for raids? I waited 3 hours for a fucking healer. Just trying to do one raid. And I was in prime time.
I'm assuming Xenosys, right, Frosty? Like Xenosys Vex, the tank player?
Yeah, Xeno, yeah.
So I was watching him, he's one of my favorite streamers. I was watching him on like Tuesday night, so reset day. This must have been at about 10 o'clock Eastern. He waited 3 hours to try and fill an E12S and then gave up and ended the stream.
Yeah?
Like I couldn't believe it because it's not something I would have seen in end game PvE in any game. It's the one thing you can usually rely on to always be active.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even get leveling dungeons sometimes at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It's weird.
Oh, really?
That command is so old. Holy shit! I need to revise that. Oh yeah, no, I've
How to be a man.
yeah. Jesus Christ, 2015, 2016. I made that. Oh
Wow.
Still accurate.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's sad.
Yeah, but no, I think like I feel like people complain too much. They're finding things to complain about, right? And
They always will.
Yeah, Feast and like PvP in general, there's issues to complain about, but you could just play it and not like, oh well, I'm not good at this, so I'm gonna give reasons. That's how my jaded ass thinks. They're like, oh, people who are complaining just tried it and they sucked at it, and they're like, I don't want to feel like I'm not good enough to be good at Feast, so I'm gonna give you reasons why no one should be playing it at all.
It's an ego thing.
That's basically what happens a lot of the time.
A lot of
And it's funny because every single season, at least in the Western data centers, there's always a handful of players that it's their first season. They finally give it an honest shot to get into Feast. They get top 100 and they say, "Why was I not doing this earlier? It was a ton of fun."
Yes,
100%.
100%.
It happens every single season. It happened on Crystal, happens on Aether. I mean, it happens everywhere. And so, a lot of it is just about these new players who probably have a negative sentiment of Feast, finally just saying, I'm going to give it an honest shot. I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to say, okay, this season I'm just going to play it. I'm going to try and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people let that mindset, that community stigma, stop them from ever attempting it. And if you never attempt it, then what's going to happen? You're not going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, and the other part is, what the fuck else are you doing?
Yeah, especially now. Yeah, it's like not going to watch a movie because the review said the movie was bad.
Well, I mean, I don't know. That's a little bit different.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've done it. But at the same time, like if I want to see something, right, I'm gonna see it. Like I don't care about your review. Like,
okay, that's fair.
Right?
I get deterred by movie reviews every once in a while. Like
too,
if I go to
but,
a theater or like if I watch it at home, like I want to watch it, but am I going to go spend money and sit down and dedicate those hours to watching it in a theater? I mean, maybe not anymore, but I'm hoping soon, man. I'm fully vaccinated. I'm ready to go and see a movie in a theater.
I can tell you're flexing, yeah.
Yeah.
the vax flex.
I got the vax. I got my card over there, dude. It's in a laminated thing. It's not completely laminated, but it's like a little
put it on your
protector.
Put it on my forehead. At this rate,
You're gonna nail onto your fucking wall.
No, I got to carry it around with me and be like, hey guys, look at me, I'm special. You can let me do stuff now. It's a complete side note. I went out to all of my friends. We all got vaccinated. We've been vaccinated for over 2 weeks, and we're like, all right, well, let's all go out and do something. So we went out to a bar, and there's tons of people at bars, man. And they don't like masks. They sneer at them. They make all. It was a weird feeling, but we don't care because we're fine.
Wait, your bars are open?
Huh?
Your bars are open?
We have bar, yeah. America's like, fuck it.
It's so foreign to me as a European, you have no idea. I haven't seen the inside of a bar for over a year.
It's been a while for me too, but like we recently went to one, and they've been hopping the entire pandemic, dude.
I mean, they're open in the UK now, but only outdoors.
No, they have lots of indoors in America. It's like they're like, oh, we all do proper procedures. We removed a couple of tables here and there, and then they're all like gathered, crunched next to each other around the bar, getting drinks and stuff. I'm like, all right.
Or people just pull the tables together.
Yeah, they don't care. Anyways, Feast. We're not talking about pandemic and the trauma that it's caused all of our lives and everything over the last year.
Feast makes you want to go to a bar.
Huh? Oh yeah, sometimes Feast you want to go to.
Would you guys say that Feast is the PvP equivalent of Ultimate for PvE?
Yes.
Okay.
Really?
No. Feast is the most
No,
difficult content I think in the game.
No. I'm not saying most difficult. The equivalent, right? Like for PvE, the highest you can go is Ultimate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For PvP, I think the highest you can go is probably Feast.
I don't see difficulty. I don't see the measure of difficulty in kind of the same way. So for me, it's still no.
Mm-hmm.
No, not difficulty, just the equivalent. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, the top tier of that mode, right? So PvP in general, Feast is the top.
Yeah. So it makes you think, right? Like not many players will even participate, will even step foot into Ultimate. It doesn't have a time limit. You can bash your head against it for months if you wanted to, but many players just decide, what, that's not for me.
Yeah.
It makes me think a lot of that is also kind of like the approach to the rank ladder, because it is limited. It's only so many individuals that can actually make it. So
the
it's
entry
daunting,
level.
right?
The entry level to Ultimate, I'd say, obviously, a Savage, especially since a lot of Ultimates are 3 consecutive Savage fights. The entry level to Feast is starting from 0 elo, but the issue is that you get gold basically for free. So you never really get to learn, but you get tossed in at the deep end anyway, which is something that doesn't really happen in Ultimate.
I'm going to be honest, my favorite tier is Silver. Because you get so many games, and it's just so fucking, like, random and trash, and just, like...
Zone in and instantly lose.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad. Like, I don't feel bad. I don't have people saying, calling me out. Like, I think part of the issue with me, all right, so with me and Feast and everything else, part of the issue is, like, when you start getting into gold, you start getting into platinum, people could be real shitty to you, man. And you're like, I just want to play, I don't want to be super competitive. I just want to play Feast. But after you get to a certain point, people have pretty high expectations for you. You're like, I just want to queue in. I want to play and do as well as I can without, going and being like really hardcore and figuring out everything. I just want to play. But I can't get that after a certain point in rank.
Yep.
Sure.
That's sadly a downside of the ranking system and how it's sort of set up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be a brand new player, and as Lavigne just said, you can get gold relatively easily, all right? And then when you climb out of gold, it's still pretty easy. The point loss for point win is still pretty unbalanced. As soon as you hit platinum, all of a sudden you're impacting the rank 1 person who's at 3,000 elo, and you just hit 1,500. And if you lose, that person's going to lose 40 points. And you still don't even know how to play correctly for whatever, because you've never been against a diamond player before, and now all of a sudden you're impacting the rank one, rank top 10 people.
Yeah, there's not a real good gradual step up from that. As soon as you hit gold, you're playing. There's a chance you're going to play with people who are really hardcore, and I'm just playing for fun, right? I want to play ranked, and I want to have fun while playing ranked, have a mild challenge, and not have like really hardcore mindset going into it. There's no place for you after you hit gold. It's kind of...
I mean, there was a really awkward example of it on Chaos earlier, obviously no names, but we've currently got a monk that is in gold, and he literally just pops his Riddle of Fire, everything else, as soon as it's up, and just hits people, and this is in gold. So obviously I'm in plat, and the vast majority of people in plat still are diamond level players, and it's like, we can't actually play with him, because even if we make a call, he doesn't have anything, because he uses Riddle of Fire on cooldown. He doesn't communicate or anything. But the amount of time it's going to take for us to wait until he's silver again, so he's not in our games, is like, it's good. I've already lost 200 points today because of it. Like, literally just because of this one player. And it's like, I can't even help him, because if I go to his world and try and teach him how to play, he could actually report me for harassment. But the real loophole for it is to get them to add you, but he also declines my friend request, so I can't even help him. So I'm literally stuck with it, and it's like, it's not his fault, because if the ranking system worked properly, he wouldn't be gold in the first place.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So another example to this is there's so many people playing Overwatch, right? So you could play Overwatch, and you can go through and you can just play and have fun with it without going in and being really hardcore, researching everything. You can do that, but if you want to, you could just queue up and play, and you could play in ranked and just do your own thing, and you'll be with other people around your skill level. That's just not going to happen in Final Fantasy 14 PvP right now.
You know what? I actually challenged that because I think it sort of did happen. Fucking. Did you hear the words to it? Anyway.
I didn't hear it.
No, okay. It's my mom calling.
Oh, okay.
I think 8v8s were kind of like a decent example of this.
Okay.
I think, you know, it was like a cluster, you know, like it was kind of all over the place, sure. But I think in some level, if you just had like 15 minutes, I just got off work, whatever, I want to play like a game of Feast. You know what? You pop into 8v8, it's popping like all the time. Back in the day, it was popping like around the clock, and it was always like a mixed bag of, sure, you know, whatever. Yeah, just go and play. I think their idea was to have training emulate that, but it's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, the only thing I will say, like, to counter that is the fact that, like, 8v8, you go into it, you just know it's just going to be a clusterfuck. You take it seriously. Sure. If you go into, you know, regular ranked, at least you can put some level of seriousness to it, even if you're not going super hardcore. You're playing that same mode of like, hey, this is where the structure happens and everything else, and I can kind of learn a little bit by little bit as it goes on. I'm not forced to be like really hardcore number one player my first season halfway through my ranking. So
I think if we separate it into little... You miss them? Yeah, me too. I think if you separate it into little like columns, for example, if you just wanted to play Feast, just to play it, be like just to whatever, you don't want to super try hard. The tiers for that would be like unranked to like
silver.
You know, just about just about to gold, but don't hit gold. If you want to like be a little bit more competitive, if you think I want to learn a little bit more, hit gold and go into there. Don't hit plat. If you're not confident, I mean it. Like if plat is literally where the game starts. You are not playing Feast until you get to plat, and even more so, in my opinion, diamond. Until you get to diamond, you're actually not experiencing the weight loss ratio of sorry, not weight loss, win lose
loss.
ratio.
What the fuck are you saying, man?
You said you lost 25 pounds earlier, bro.
20, but yeah, no.
20.
I'm
shit.
working.
Well, five soon.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like that's when that actual game begins. So I just want to preface: if you want to try Feast, do it. If you're unranked, just do it. Like grind it out until like 999 or in your gold promos or whatever. Once you pass the gold promos, literally you need help. You will need help. I hate to say it, but sure, there's some.
You have to try and you have to learn stuff, and I mean that's
you really need to research. Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure you also brush up on your dividing by 2 skills and you're counting backwards from 5. That's a really hard one. I know that gets people, but
at the very least,
counting backwards from 5 is really difficult for some of the people in Feast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, math.
Yeah, there's a lot of skills that you need to pick up while you are between unranked and silver. Once you get into gold, you're literally like intermediate at that point. Plat, you're in advanced. Like you're in masters.
You're playing everybody. You are able to play the top player in the game when you hit plat.
Yeah.
And the game does not prepare you well enough for it.
It does not.
Does not. There's no way.
You need to do it on your own. You really, really, if you are the type of person that doesn't. So for me, for example, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but for me, whatever I do, I like to do, to the best of my ability. I'm not going to go in half-assed. And at some level, sometimes I can understand people that do that, but at the same time, I resent it. It's like if you're going to start a new job or something, do your research, man. Like put your best foot forward, in for this new job. So basically, you're going to have to do it yourself because there is no Feast training. Like Suhr said, there's no Square Enix is not going to hold your hand. Unranked to silver,
Discords,
jump in. You need to get into Discords. That's literally the only resources they have. Well, not literally. I mean, there's streams and stuff that you can watch which are excellent. There's a couple of big Discords which are excellent. Twitter sometimes from the Japanese players, but realistically, if you want to proceed at a decent pace past gold, you need to do some like self-introspection. Like you need to learn. Yeah. Because you haven't learned anything yet. I'm sorry. Like, if you're in unranked and silver, like the guys were saying, like you haven't even learned how to count backwards from 5. Yeah. So,
But I kind of like
Have you,
that whole like
sorry.
mess at the beginning. I still enjoy it because it just feels less stressful. You know, as soon as I get into gold, it's like, well, fuck. Now I have to. I hope it get gold silver. I'm hoping it's gold silver because I
Right.
don't want gold platinum because then I have to fucking like. As soon as I play and the game's over, I see that fucking notification thing come up on Discord, and I'm just like, God damn it.
oh yeah. Listen, mother. You know, like.
I
do
do
it again.
Yeah.
It's Frosty in here. Yeah. That's my favorite thing ever, dude. It's Frosty in here.
Oh,
Listen, bitch.
Listen, you motherfucker.
Yeah, seriously, if you're new to Feast, read a guide, ask questions when you don't know, when something's gone wrong and you don't know what the answer is. You'd be surprised how far it goes. I mean, our first rank 1 this expansion on Chaos was someone that had never played Feast before. Well, they played in the preseason with us, like they did like training queue and custom stuff, but they had never played the ranked season before, and they got rank 1 their first season.
Wow.
And
pretty good.
they're a good player generally in raid wise, but the reason why they were so good was just simply because they cared. That was it. That was all they
That's
needed.
it.
And
Yeah.
now they have 2 rank 1s.
You know,
Excellent.
thinking about it, this is almost like going from like silver to gold is almost like going from normal mode raid to savage raid.
It literally.
Yeah, it's just a huge jump that you're not prepared. You don't really understand. Oh, you have to actually do tank swaps. You actually have to, you know, do little things,
like-
heal people, right?
But at least you can be in the mechanics
Honestly,
in normal.
It's like going from a guild hest to a savage raid.
Yeah, that's
I think
more
that's
accurate.
better.
I mean,
That's more
Yeah.
accurate.
there's some discussion of it in the chat right now, but it's like there's also like this, for whatever reason, like community like lack of willingness to want to improve, so you're not like a burden for other people. Like it's so weird because like the Japanese data centers and Feast, they're typically way more coordinated. You can generally rely on most people to like do things correctly. But in North America, I mean, even our diamond level matches are just like, what is going on here? Like
Silver healers call CC on Gaia. They call
Yeah.
CC. Like, and melees cancel cooldowns into protect in silver.
yeah,
Right.
there are it. I want it's like almost a societal thing where
It
you
must
know
be.
their culture, you know, prioritizes not wanting to be a burden on other people, and so you're going to try your best to like not ruin other people's times. Where on the Western data centers, it's all about yourself. You know,
Me. Yeah.
So
some-
I've had this discussion a billion times, by the way, on this show.
Yeah.
Like, not just in Feast, but in like PV and everything else.
exactly. Yeah, it's why they're more
it's-
successful in Party Finder and all that stuff too.
It basically it comes down to, you know, it seems at least if you're playing on JP data centers, you're like, I don't want to be, you know, I could be the problem. While things aren't working out because I'm the problem, right?
Yep.
And so they want to make sure they're not the problem.
Correct.
When you fucking go to NA and maybe EU too, everyone else is the problem.
Yeah,
You
everyone else
don't
is the
want
problem.
everyone else to be the problem.
I hate
Right?
that attitude so much.
And it's really frustrating in Feast too, because Feast right now is designed in this way where you have to succeed as a group. You can't succeed individually. You can have individual impact to certain levels, and you can be a really good player, and like you can solo carry maybe this one game. But in a generalization, you succeed as a group in Feast, and it's a solo queue game, so everyone needs to be able to cooperate together in solo queue. But failing in Feast can come down to one person. You can be the weak link, and you can get the shit abused out of you by the enemy
Literally.
team, and you will single-handedly lose the game if you are not, you know, playing your stuff correctly.
The game's designed like that, though, in general. I mean, it's the same PvE. Like, a lot of the mechanics are designed in a way that all 8 people have to be around for them, and all 8 people have to do it correctly, or you wipe.
Yep.
I think the entire game is just designed that way, where they don't want one individual person to have that much impact, because the responsibilities of like, you know, on yourself, but also because they want you to finish it as a group and carry the weak link.
And this is probably why a lot of people get negative sentiments about Feast, because it's designed very specifically for all 8 players in the game to be playing objectively correctly. You know, you have to be playing it correctly for it to work and flow and feel good. But then when one person isn't, which is every single game in solo, correctly. I mean, you got 5 of those people in solo queue not playing correctly in a
Mhm.
diamond level match, basically, at least in NA. And
Yes.
so when one person isn't playing correctly, the whole entire thing starts to buckle in under itself. And so that's why you get this frustration with the game mode, because people know it can be so good. It can be so good. I mean, I think Feast is designed amazingly well. The job kits are like, they work so good in Feast, but it's like one person can just ruin it. And
That's so. Just to put a note on there, it's kind of why I really wish there was some way for there to be a successful light party instead of solo queue. Like, I wish the main mode was light party and it wasn't solo queue. I feel like
Likewise.
because it doesn't. There's no like, oh well, I had other people on my team and they fucked up. You choose who's on your fucking team, right?
Mhm.
And so it's like, this team is clearly better than that team, and that's just what it is. You go into a match and either you win or lose depending on what team is good. Here it's just like, oh, just mix of, oh, I hope I don't fucking get this person. Oh, I hope I don't get this fucking person.
is this person you? Can anyone check?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst, man.
I heard there's some macros going around.
I was gonna say there's a macro for that. I'm using mental people.
What macros?
Anyway,
It tells them if
Okay.
it tells them if
Meta,
a
man.
certain person is online, basically.
Mhm.
It tells them if a certain person is online, even if they're not on that server. It runs a search function, basically, on a name.
Yeah.
but
Toxic.
going to the topic of light party for Feast, I really do think that's how the game mode was intended to be played. And looking at the cohesiveness of like Japanese teams in solo queue, they almost emulate that with how they play, because
Yeah.
like we're talking about differences in culture and how for them they're more they want to work as a team rather than have individual kind of individual kind of shine on them personally. Whereas in the Western culture, it's more like, oh, me, I'm the one that carried that shit, like stuff like that. So I think there's that difference, which I feel. I don't think they'll go back to light party for Feast for a while, because I'm just going to say
I mean,
it's a
you may not go
clusterfuck.
back to Feast at all, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think it's kind of a clusterfuck because the point system is designed poorly. First of all, it's quite horrible. If more teams played, it might be better, but at the same time, it needs to be regulated in some way, and I don't think there's enough of that going.
I wish so. This is what
Yeah.
I wish happened. Right, is that
Mhm.
they shifted away from the solo queue. It's so easy to do solo queue, right? It's so easy to just let that do its own thing. With light party, they'd actually have to create systems to make that fair, and like timings and windows and everything else, to where you could actually get that going on, and maybe even run events like official Square Enix at tournaments and stuff like that, or have somewhat, because they put a lot to support that system. I mean, go back to Stormblood. You had your own fucking banner that would show up in the arena.
It feels like the
Right?
current light party system was made purely for FRC. I feel
It really does.
it was specifically made for FanFest FRC.
I think it was. I'm going to say you're right, and I'm so sad that didn't work out as well as it could have. I
so
really
fun.
wish it was.
It was fun, man.
I wasn't eligible. Whose
Yeah,
idea was
you
it to
ones.
make it Italy not eligible? It's just too stupid. Even though I was in the UK, because my account was made in Italy, I wasn't allowed to play. It was
I don't know
stupid.
I have no clue what legal stuff was going on in the background. I'm sure when it gets to EU, it's a complicated mess to deal with legalities of all that stuff, but I don't really know.
I remember also like Australia and New Zealand were counted as EU apparently, even though no people from those countries play on E EU.
Yeah.
Except I them.
They lost a lot of good ones.
We did.
No, but realistically speaking, I think FRC was a success. NA and EU, I think it was like super hype. JP, unfortunately, I don't know full of the reasons, but it was just 2 teams that showed up in the end.
Yeah.
They were missing half of their.
Apparently, they
competition.
changed the rules like right before they were supposed to qualify, and that was what
Okay.
made a lot of teams drop out. I know the story that was running around was that a lot of them were shy about showing up in public, but apparently
Okay.
some of their guidelines changed or something, and unfortunately, I don't speak enough Japanese to do more thorough investigation into it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Their rules changed, is the short of it.
I do.
TJ saying they lost half their compensation for travel. That makes sense.
Because there's someone in my Discord called Cherry who's from Japan, and her team qualified, and she said it was something like that. They were willing to pay for them to like get to the convention, but they weren't willing to pay for them to go home afterwards. So a lot of them said like, obviously she's from Gaia, like most of her team. A lot of them are working 6 out of 7 days a week. So on top of the money they lose from not being in work, because bearing in mind you don't make money from FRC, you're going there to play for fun.
Right.
They're like, why are we paying basically to play and taking a day off work? So they just dropped out.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. I wish it was more popular. I wish the light party stuff worked out a little bit better. I mean, it existed, especially for NAEU. I was there. I was a part of it. I loved being a part. I'm going to tell you, that was some of the fun, most enjoyable stuff I did, was being over there and able to, being granted the ability to commentate over that and watch and be part of the excitement.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing. I just wish that it was even more successful than that, right? I wish there was a lot more people. I wish it was able to, they were like, okay, well, this is good enough, let's do it again. And they try to do it again, or maybe try to do it virtually or something else, because it would have been amazing. Yeah, +1, and I love shoutcasting with +1, man.
You guys did great. Yeah, you guys did great.
We did like 3 months of like training, like just shoutcasting VODs to ourselves, like with each other throughout the summer, just to make sure we were ready to do it. And I hope one day we get the opportunity to do it again, or that we can have more opportunities for commentators to come up and participate, because we don't have those. That was the only time we've had it. I would love to do. I've done PvE stuff too, but the PvP stuff is like moment to moment, like intense excitement. I guess I get it with the world race, but that commentation is much slower. Anyways, I want to go back a little bit to you guys talking about 8v8, because we still don't know what the size of the new small scale mode is, but for some reason I really have it in my head it's going to be an 8v8.
Really?
Yeah.
Like capture the flag or something?
Mode.
It could be capture the flag. It could be something. It's going to be something where it's not dependent on roles, apparently. Like, you can go in with 8 white mages, and it'll be just as good as going with a completely, a proper full party into it. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But
you mentioned Overwatch earlier. Oh, sorry, Frosty.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, you mentioned Overwatch earlier, and I was just kind of thinking different ways where, like, I wonder how fleshed out it's going to be, because if you think of Overwatch and the healers, they call them support, if it would be kind of like that, where they have like a little bit of a heal. Well, they have heals, right? But I guess everyone would have a heal, so they take away their heals and they add like support type abilities, maybe. Yeah. So healers would effectively turn into support instead of
like the kind of mercy type of healing, right?
Sure.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get unique abilities that you don't get outside of that mode, probably, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the only way they're going to remove healers from the equation. They'd have to give everyone an individual ability set that is not available outside the mode.
I mean, that's what potions were kind of for, right? Potions and all the self-healing stuff, like, it Blood for Blood heals you now too, right?
Potions have their own issue.
Well, yeah. But the intention was that you could heal yourself.
Yeah. It was supposed to give you more, like, responsibility to keep yourself alive and not just the healer, because in Stormblood, I mean, it really all came down to the healer, and consistently rank 1 across every single data center, every single region was healers, except for like very few people like black mages and stuff. So
and I think we might have stuff that's close to Rival Wings going into this casual mode, where it's very, like, you have all these little goofy things that aren't really part of a standard PvP kit.
I hope not.
It should not be that way.
Like, the reason why I like Feast is because you just have your job kit. There's no blanket buff or nerf like there is in Frontline, where you do more damage and you take less damage if you're a certain role. There's no fucking choo-choo train going through the middle of the map, honking at you with robots flying everywhere. I mean, I like it that it's just straightforward PvP. All right, it's got its unique rules and stuff, but for the most part, you just have yourself and your job kit. and then you have to work within the rules there. There's not any sort of wacky mechanic that can
Wacky choo-choo trains.
Yeah, wacky choo-choo trains, exactly.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is completely my opinion and not anyone else's, and I don't say this is the right answer, but I would wish they would completely get rid of Frontlines 100% and just have Rival Wings and Feast.
You're crazy.
I fucking... the 1 versus 1 versus 1, I just don't like that format
Why
at
would
all.
you say something so brave and so controversial?
Right.
But like Rival Wings is team versus team, and you could just be fucking do whatever, just be a robot and have fun. That's what Rival Wings is. It's just fun. You just go out there and try to do goofy stuff, and you don't have to be really serious about it at all. You just hope that you can steal the brute justice or whatever and be the person who gets it. And
but you know what?
I people running around getting oil or whatever. What?
I have to say it though. Like I have to say it again because Frontlines, the 3-team mode is like until you experience it in like Japan, for example, you really don't know how fun it can be. I mean it. Like it's
okay. So for 1/3 of the entire population that plays this game,
no, I what I'm
fun.
saying is we're playing it wrong, right? Like, yeah, I agree with you. I would say the same thing. Just do Rival Wings and Feast. Do it.
I think Onsal is a terrible design map for the main reason being is that one team is always guaranteed to start on the side of the map on their own. That automatically makes it an unbalanced map.
Meet me in the middle, bitch.
You don't like those 15-minute long middle battles? Those are the best. You can
It's like, what the fuck's even happening?
One team wins, and they've been ignored the entire game, and it just happens to be the team that has decided the map themselves.
I kind of like it that like when the majority of like the 3 teams are all in the middle fighting, because then you're like just a few people on the map, like, oh, well, we could win if we just fucking go over here and get towers and just kind of like beat these other small teams, and it just becomes a completely different game.
Yeah.
In terms of Frontline, I think Seal Rock and Onsal are probably the 2 best maps, in my opinion, at least. Just because I like how they promote like actually fighting. It's like there can be sometimes like this misconception of like, oh, just get nodes, but for the most part, you're promoted to fight in those ones. Whereas, like Shatter especially, people get really confused as to like what they should be prioritizing there, whether it should be fighting or just killing ice. So, I like Seal Rock and Onsal just because they actually do just funnel you into like fighting each other over the actual.
It's objective. A lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish it would just be disabled so everybody would just play one mode. Just fucking get everyone into robots and stuff because it's just so.
I just wish Frontlines were on a rotation. Not rotation. That they were on like a random Frontline queue type thing, and they went on their lockout. Especially when I don't really like all the Frontlines. Like I only really kind of enjoy Onsal and Seal Rock, but I can only play them on specific days, and I feel like that also really hurts the Frontline mode.
Yep.
So, would it be better if, like, Rival Wings and Frontline and everything was just a roulette, and you just press that button, right, for people to queue up for it, and then it just randomly picks one of them, and everyone has to play that same mode?
Incredible.
Yeah, I'd play the hell out of that. The main reason I get bored of them is because I don't like playing the same map all evening.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to play devil's advocate, I think having the daily, like, map is fine right now, just because there's achievements tied to the certain maps, and so it gives you like that consistent schedule saying if I want to work towards my Seal Rock coat, I know I can queue for it this upcoming Wednesday because that's Seal Rock Day. Whereas if you're trying to get your Seal Rock coat and you don't even have a chance to specifically queue for Seal Rock, now it's like, okay, I got a 25% chance to get Seal Rock, and then I got to win, and then I got to do that 100 times.
Change the rules. Just change the achievements, right? Just fucking in general, all of them are like
they can do that too.
Yeah, if you just win this many maps, okay, cool. You get all of the mounts. There you go.
Speaking of that, I think Rival Wings, they need to bring Astragalus.
Astragalus, yeah, I was about to say that.
They need to bring it back and just add a Rival Wings roulette. Like it desperately needs it.
Yeah,
or just implement them into the daily PvP roulette. It's so weird how.
Why not? Yeah.
Like there's so many previous iterations of PvP maps and game modes that have been made for this game, and they've just completely removed them, and you have no way to actually queue for it and play it. Like we have the old Rival Wings map. We have previous Feast maps that you can't get unless you do customs. It's just
Man,
it's so
yeah.
it's so strange how they do that.
The lichen weed with getting those boxes at the beginning and just going over to the other team and fucking.
The AV8 Licking Weed map was like absolutely sick.
That was so much fun. I love it.
So good. I love the way they did like the little sort of pathways that used to go around the
Yes.
side of the map. That was
Yes.
such a good design.
You can flank them, and oh my god, that was so much
It's by
fun.
far one of the best PvP maps they've made in this game. Was the 8v8
Yes.
map for that?
Yeah.
So let's do this real quick. What can we do? All right. So what right now the state of PvP with Final Fantasy 14? What can we do in order to make PvP successful going up into this next expansion?
That's hard, man. So I'm gonna just say a quick story. I think Suhr was there as well. So prior to the FRC, with the teams that were qualified, the 4 NA teams that were qualified, we got together for about 2 weeks. I think we'd sit in voice chat and like just talk for hours on end on what we would like to see changed, what we would like to see adapted, stuff like that. And we had a huge document. Actually, we had a huge document on this, and some ideas. Definitely, we tried our best to not get too frugal or just too crazy with it. But realistically, so we all we held each other back. I mean, whatever. And by the end of it, we're like, okay, you know what? In order to really complete this, we need to get it translated into Japanese. So we did. It was a huge document. It's huge, really detailed. A lot of input from very solid players that have been playing for a very, very long. So we had to translate it to Japanese, and we actually presented it to. I don't think it was Yoshida. I forget who it was. I think it was Foxclon. I believe. I'm not sure. I think Nick presented it to him, and he's like, "Oh, interesting." That's it. That's all he said. So it kind of like burned a few players at that point in time. But I do know that what we can do, I guess, is what they do prefer is like official forums, right? Like, oh, put your feedback there, stuff like that. But I don't know what else. I really thought that like when we did this document, grinded on, I thought that this would maybe maybe we were too high of ourselves. Like we were thinking too highly of ourselves. But realistically, we took a lot of feedback from everyone, and hey, this could be pretty good.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a game developer, sure, but I don't know.
No, yeah, and so I think I want to go ahead and say that like you guys going ahead and doing that means that you guys give a shit, right? You care a lot about it.
A lot.
And I think that definitely should show as something to whoever, developers, whatever. If they see it, they're like, okay, these guys, they're part of the event that we put together. They made part of this event happen, and we want to see what their thoughts are, and we'll take that feedback and see where it goes from there. I'm not sure about how that whole situation on SC side. It's impossible to know.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
I was just gonna have a closing statement to it, and the fact that in order for us to, because a lot of Feast players currently are kind of almost generally jaded vets.
Yeah.
So I think in order for us to do much, they also kind of need to reciprocate with at least a little bit of communication. Because I'll be real with you. If right now there's an official forum post that says, I don't know, anything, just anything that says like, this is why we did this, I bet you're gonna get droves of people that are like, oh, really? Okay, cool. Now we're motivated again. So I think if Square Enix gives a little bit, a little bit of a taste of communication, a little bit of like, hey, instead of just like hiding everything behind closed doors, I think the community will blow up again because there's so much passion for it.
Yeah. People are passionate. People do give a shit. People care a lot about the PvP in this mode. We might all be jaded. We might all be fairly cynical at times, but we really do care. And like Mateo said, just having some form of feedback or just communication or just like an explanation of something would really go a long way. Because there was a lot of questionable things happening at the beginning of this expansion that we received pretty much no explanation on. And we all just had to make up our own sort of stories in our head as to why things were happening. And, a lot of us came to the conclusion that, hey, maybe it's just COVID, or maybe they're just focusing on the new mode. But we've gotten no explanations for a lot of things, and so that heading into the new mode, I think would be really, really helpful. Yeah. And also put PvP back in the damn live letters, dude. They don't talk about it at all anymore.
We get one slide. The season will start in a week.
It's become a joke where every single live letter, it's like, I wonder what the PvP thing is going to be, and it's literally just a single bullet point, and it just says PvP changes. That's all it's ever been this entire expansion since the new frontline mode got announced.
Yeah.
It's funny how me, Mateo, and Suhr are all got the same thing in the mind. That is, we just wish they talked to us. That's it. We're not I know we've got some other problems, the state of the ladders, the integrity, balance, things like that. But really, we just want them to talk to us. If they won't talk to us, at least talk to the JP players that they actually understand, because they've got a massive mega thread on the JP section, and a lot of the stuff that I've read in those topics, whether it's trying to read it or trying to read it through translator, it's pretty much the same stuff we've kind of said in the show already. So it's not like they're playing a different game to us either. They're seeing the exact same things, but they're not getting listened to. And it's at least listen to them and talk to them, because it would go such a long way.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And you know what? I've been saying this for 4 years, dude.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for so long. SE, you know what? I just got a new job, but fuck, if you open up a position for this, I'd apply, right? I just, even if it's some random person I don't know, cool, as long as they know how to communicate to this to the community. I mean, and that would be great for raid and everything else too. But I mean, PvP really could, if you want to do anything with PvP in this game, that would be the thing to do.
It has so much potential. It has incredible potential.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying that ever since it got implemented, and it still does. It's
such a good game.
It has so much potential, and it needs that support, and it needs also a community attitude shift, especially with people who don't PvP. Just give it a shot. You got to give it an honest effort to get into.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was playing Black Mage, and I was having fun with it earlier. Last
week.
Really? Yeah.
Nice, dude.
And that's when +1 was popping up next to me as Black Mage. I'm like, you stay a tier away from me, dude.
If you're new, if you're new to PvP in any way, people that matter will go out of their way to try and help you constructively.
Yes.
Not even, I don't mean the passive aggressive shittiness constructive. I mean, they will be super nice to you. They'll want to get you involved. They'll want to get you playing match with them. They'll want to invite you to their customs and stuff, because it's in our best interest that you learn how to play and get better, and that you stay in the mode. For activity, first of all, and second of all, because it's solo queue, and we are probably going to get matched with you. It's in our best interest to help you.
Yes.
So, I know, the general consensus of PvP is that all the players that play it are all toxic shitheads. It's no, the people that are toxic shitheads are mostly people that are really bad at it. And the reason why they're bad at it is because they chose not to ask questions. They chose to never see fault or what they were doing wrong. If you do all these things, you will be looked after in this community.
Yeah.
Basically, don't be an ultimate raider who just started PvP.
Ultimate legend, by the way.
That's fucking everyone. What are you talking about?
Ultimate raider.
It's Ridcar Guardi just said, "Yeah, I just started playing."
Ren is doing great. Props to you, dude.
It's known for ultimate rating.
It's just a meme. It's a meme.
It's
sorry.
a meme, yeah.
It says typically when new seasons start and you get new ultimate raiders in, they are.
I mean, the ultimate title is it's one of those things.
It's people that really like their gear. They really like how their gear looks. That's why they're queuing for it. That's why you see so many of them. They're the people that we want to help you get better, and we want to keep you because clearly you want the glams, and we want to help you get those glams.
Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of really good ultimate raiders who PvP as well, but there are a lot of really shitty ones. But I mean, shitty players in general. And don't fuck. I don't know what to tell people anymore. I've been preaching for years, dude.
There's a hierarchy, right? I think just going back to the question, what can we do? Play. Mm-hmm. Just play the game, and it will show up on their graphs, and it'll show up on their statistics. It's okay, so people are actually playing this. Cool, let's keep it going. I think it's kind of the fact if you don't like something, don't buy it. Money talks. I think it's the same principle.
You know what? Let me do this. So first thing I'm going to do is, because I saw this in chat, it said playing for a few days for the first time, found little resources or help. I'm going to Google Final Fantasy 14 PvP.
You'll probably get PvP Revival as the first hit, because Paizo used to be the first hit.
I get, actually the first hit's pictures of PvP, and then Final Fantasy fandom, then PvP guide, the official one, from Square Enix. There's a handful of like trying out PvP first impressions from YouTube, and then I actually don't see anything in there from typing in.
I just googled FFXIV PvP guide. I got the Lodestone one, and then I got the job guide with the PvP options on. Then I got another link to the PvP guide for some reason, and then I got PvP Revival, which used to be the Paizo link. And obviously, if you go onto that and then you go onto the Discord, you get all the Discords up that have all the guides in them that are literally like bountiful of information. So it's not like we're hard to find either.
That's not too hard to find. You do have to search a little bit, and there's some. I know for sure the PvP Revival Discord is a really popular one, and there's PV Paiza, which I've been a part of for quite a while as well. And so those are like the two main ones, and there's splintered off like smaller PvP Discords, but I mean for people getting into it and learning stuff and everything else, those are the best ones. I don't think there's a lot of YouTubers out there right now. Is there?
No, I think that's an untapped resource.
Yeah,
I think Brian does some.
Brian, yeah.
Brian did some guides, I think.
And I did a guide of one when I did the intro video.
Oh yeah, that's a huge thing actually. What Rin just said, VOD reviews. So I think that started last season. I'm not sure if Revival does it as well, but I know Paisa does it. Is if you post a video of your gameplay, it's going to get analyzed, and you're going to be told exactly what you could, should have done.
Oh, the days of like PvP streams with me where I.
Oh, those are fun. The Madden.
Yeah,
the Madden
John Madden ones. We'd go back, replay it, and then go through every little bit.
Dude, I fucking love that. I would watch Christian religious. You're like, if I stun this guy here, fuck this guy. It was so funny, man. It was so funny.
Yeah, only if I had the time, man. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Get back to it, but I don't know. Anyways, I guess we're like 2 hours in. It's probably good to start.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. Maybe start wrapping up and everything. Huh?
Saying time flies.
Yeah, time flies, man. What time is it for you, Lavigne?
Currently 6:58 a.m. local time.
I appreciate you waking up so fucking early for this.
Oh yeah, my breakfast is here in half an hour.
Nice.
My man ate twice.
I got pineapple buns.
Oh gosh. But I would like to ask real quick. Throughout this expansion, it does seem like PvP's kicking up a lot recently, right? A lot more people are doing feasts and everything than they did towards the beginning of the expansion.
It's the drip.
It's the what?
It's a drip.
Oh, okay.
It's the drip, yeah.
I thought you were going to say it was a trap.
No, sorry. I was trying to make out. Yeah, anyway. It's the armor. It's really good.
The armor. Yeah, it's the armor. And I think like there not being a lot to do with PvE and everything kind of brought everybody. And so it is interesting to see how all this stuff is going. I hope that a lot of people get the impression that PvP is actually fun to do while they're trying it out. And then when we get into the next expansion, whatever mode they put into the game, I hope it's good. I just, that's all. I'm hoping it's good. Hoping I like it. I hope everybody else likes it.
Me too.
I don't know. I don't know if they can like please, all audiences though. Like, unfortunately, that's the case with everything.
You're not going to please more people than they're pleasing right now.
Yeah, I really do hope that like the casual mode. I do hope there's ranked stuff. I don't care if the rewards are exclusive or not. I really don't care.
Yeah, at this point,
yeah, I don't really care.
I just want to play. Yeah, most of us just want to fucking play.
Yes,
people do PvP for so long.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to, at least for Feast players, like playing and having fun, but also like having a purpose too as to why you're doing it.
Correct.
rank 1.
There's more in the stake, man. Like if it's a rank ladder, you're like, oh, hey, this guy's ranked this much, I'm ranked this much. Like I can actually, people play better. You know what I'm saying? There's more to adapt to. It's more dynamic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the possibilities for Endwalker are, huge. It can be really, really good, or it can be,
unsub
a little more questionable. Yeah. I mean, it's exciting and also extremely worrying at the same time. So we just got to see what they do. All I can hope for is that the game mode that comes out in Endwalker is well supported and like really fleshed out at the start and has lots of options for playing it. Because the worst thing that can happen is that they release the mode and that the reward structure isn't fully set up, or it's shallow at the start and we have to wait for content to come out for it, because it's fulfilling, it's like replacing an area of the game that's like really well established, I think. And it has big shoes to fill for a lot of like really dedicated PvPers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have a live letter and we have the fan fest, digital fan fest, in a couple weeks, so maybe we'll know.
I can't wait for our one slide.
Yeah, our one slide.
if we get like actual info on the new mode, I'll like freak out.
Yeah,
I'm getting my Resident Sleeper ready, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all assume it's going to come out in like 6.1, but any info is just good info at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will go ahead and let everybody know. I do have an email interview I sent out recently, and I have I'll get that hopefully next week sometime. We'll see. And a couple of them are about the new PvP mode. I don't know if they'll answer anything about it. It could be just wait till FanFest. But I did put my effort out there to see what we can find out before FanFest comes out. So maybe
check out this motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm trying, dude. Even if I'm not like PvPing the entire, I'm like on and off of PvP throughout this expansion. I'm still out there because PvP is it's the community and everything else and all the history and shit we've all been through over the years. It's still part of me.
You're doing great, dude. Seriously.
Yeah.
Major props.
Oh, fuck you.
Wow.
This is how he talks to me like all the time, like literally.
No.
How you doing, man? Fuck you.
Yeah, everything I said about PvP is not being toxic. Yes, everyone except Mateo.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, I like PvP until I gotta fucking play with this douche. Sorry. Anyways, we might as well go ahead and do our. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we close up? I feel like we hit a lot. We had a really. I had a good conversation. It was actually amazing to have this conversation with you guys.
Bring back Soul Survivor.
Okay.
Oh.
Read your abilities.
Yeah. So bring back the Soul Survivor, all right. And any other discussions you guys want to have?
Go through the hierarchy, man. If you're gonna get into Feast, if you're unranked to silver, like we said earlier, play. Don't just go play. While you're waiting for queues, hit the dummy. Hit the dummy like all the time.
Read your abilities.
Read your abilities. Hit the dummy. Once
Try
you
to
get
figure out
close
why
to
people are
gold,
doing things.
yeah, man. Play
Those
front
silly
lines.
numbers.
Like get used to like just having other people hit you. I think that's the biggest thing is like people hitting back. So oh shit, what happened? This wasn't planned. Do you know what I mean? Like oh, I'm not a tank. Like what? So yeah, hit the dummy. Go and queue up for Nola, I guess, because he's been in the queue for a while. But yeah, that's it. Just be smart, man. And be cool.
Yeah,
that's it.
Okay,
You're
so
fighting other people.
Yeah. Sir, what kind of closing statements you got, dude?
No, pretty much the same. Just I don't know. I think PvP still has a lot of potential. It's the only thing in the game that's relatively dynamic. You're fighting other people that hopefully have brains, and they'll fight you back.
Psych. Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
And yeah, it's a huge untapped area of the game that a lot of people still over many years have never experienced. And every season there's brand new players that say, why was I not playing this earlier? And so I can just say, give it an honest shot. And if it isn't for you, it isn't for you. But there's potential there for something that you might really enjoy.
Yeah, I want to tap into this real quick before we go to you, Lavigne. Just the thing that I love about PvP is the fact that it's not scripted. And so you have to think on your feet. kind of understand the situation and take advantage of it. It's kind of like healing in Party Finder, right? You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. You don't know if this dude knows what he's doing. He's going to die. You have to res him. You have to be reactive and actually work with the situation and everything else. Instead of just doing like your static PvE, raid group where you know everything about it, this feels like you're actually going into something that you have to actively think about and solve solutions on the fly. And I love it. And I can't get that anywhere else in the game. And that's why I will be really sad if they completely take away any kind of aspect of this going into the next expansion. But all right, sorry, Lavigne.
It's just kind of similar to what Mateo said. Like, honestly, give it a go. I mean, I'm someone that's played MMO PvP for 19 years now, and generally, I don't feel MMO PvP is mechanically that great. It wasn't in WoW, in my opinion, and it's not like mechanically fantastic in Final Fantasy. It's just these games just like this. It's why action MMOs are so popular, because you have so much more control over what you're doing. But the community in this one, despite all its ups and downs, is like literally like a little family, and it's not the kind of family that's like you can't get into. It's one that is always looking to welcome new players, because we're so small as a community that like everyone kind of knows each other, and we all want each other to get better because it's a solo queue mode. And it's honestly a really good experience to get into. So, like, I'd really recommend it.
Yeah. Just come with it's a family that enjoys people who enjoy trying to get better and trying to understand that possibly they could be the issue in matches and trying to figure out how not to be the issue. Versus if you come in and you dick swinging out, I'm the best in the world, and you're just saying everyone else is the problem, the family might not like you as much.
Oh, we'll bury you if you like that. We'll bury you.
Yeah. So you just have to come in with the right attitude, and then it's amazing. People are understanding. And with that all being said, I guess we'll go ahead and finish up here. Mateo, can anyone find you anywhere? Do you do anything? You stream some?
You know what? I haven't streamed for like a year, and then the other day I streamed for a little bit. Yeah, you can find me at xyxx_ on Twitch. Yeah. Thank you. And I have a Twitter which I named after an old character, is Banana Juice, but just put an X in front of it, and then you'll get my Twitter.
Stupid ass name.
Yeah, I'm on Discord. You'll probably find a Mateo somewhere in there. Yeah, man, that's me, bro.
Okay. And Suhr, you're just Suhr, right? I forget what you're.
I have a Twitch. It's Wapster, WAP.
That's right, it's Wapster. Why did I forget about Wapster?
Yep. And then I don't have a Twitter, so that's pretty much where you'll find me streaming Feast.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Why change your name, dude? Why is it Wapster?
I've used that. That's my old WoW name, so I've used that for just years and years. So.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. No, you can't change it. You're right. It's known now. You should change your in-game name to Wapster, though.
It doesn't work in this game, man. That's what I tried doing initially when I started playing. But you have to have a last name, and it just looks weird.
Okay. All right.
Suhr Wapster. Oh, that's kind of nice. Sorry.
Yeah. Sure, Wapster. All right. Lavigne.
Yeah, I stream on Twitch as well under London_electricity, usually between like 2 and 4 o'clock server time, so it's like around 10, 11-ish Japan time. I usually stream JP around 3 days a week, and if I'm not found there, I'm on Kukulu as well, which is FFXIV Lavigne, which is also the same as my Twitter handle, where I mostly just post Final Fantasy and RuneScape stuff.
Okay. Final Fantasy RuneScape stuff? What?
Yeah, that's the only reason I have Twitter. I don't do social media at all.
Okay, all right, no, that's cool. So you guys, if you want to get into PvP, I'd recommend following these 3 channels here, and just, if you see them live, watch them. There's a lot of really cool people out there streaming and everything else. Before we end up, I don't have links to Discords. I know Brian would have a link to the Revival Discord. If you are still in chat or someone else has a link to it that has mod abilities, please go ahead and post that, because that is a place that you can go. They're working hard to just support the PvP community overall. And there's also PvPiza, which I don't have a link for either, which I probably could get, but maybe Mateo, you have one. I don't know. Where is it? I can't switch channels because it would mess up the overlay.
Lavigne has it, yeah.
Guessing you need mod to post links.
Oh, you're so smart. You know what?
Oh,
Because like you would have totally got banned, and I would have just laughed at you for it.
Okay.
Hold on.
Here's a Paisa.
Oh yeah, did
he's-
Ren get
Ren
both of
got
them?
it. Yeah, he did.
Ren
Alright.
gotcha.
MVP, dude.
MVP, man, dude's a champion. I love Ren.
Oh yeah.
So there you go. You guys can click on those if you want to get more resources. Be a part of the community. That's where the community is for the PvP scene here in Final Fantasy XIV. And I appreciate everybody watching the show. Even if you don't like PvP, it's awesome to you give us your ears for a little bit, so you can kind of understand our perspective and everything else. And of course, the PvP community that came by and watched. You guys are amazing for coming by and supporting this. No matter how many of you are jaded assholes.
Fuck you.
Hospitality.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
joking.
great. Yeah, I love this community, and I'm hoping that Ed Walker brings us to a good point again, where we're all somewhat happier than what we back to where everybody was like super happy and friendly and kumbaya. I don't think that ever was there, but something close to it. I do have my own few announcements I'd like to make. There was someone who asked me about the Digital Fan Fest. The Who Wants to Be a Gillionaire. I am going to be a part of that during the Digital Fan Fest. It is scheduled for 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is going to be
What the?
yeah, it's going to be 4 a.m. 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern Time.
Okay.
So you guys should 5 a.m. Eastern Time. You guys should definitely check it out.
When
and
is
if
it?
you look,
When is it? Sorry, I don't know if you mentioned.
It's Saturday, May 15th.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and thanks, Lavigne. I appreciate that, dude. You didn't have to do that. And then, it's funny, that event is right before the Primals concert.
Oh, cool.
So we are going to give something really great for them to have to try to follow up with the Who Wants to Be a Gillionaire. And after that, I do have next week's show. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do. We might do a pre-Digital Fan Fest discussion. We also may be going over the interview questions I have lined up with Yoshida, depending on what those questions are like. If they're all, wait till Fan Fest, maybe we won't have a discussion on them. But if it's, there's some interesting topics to talk about, we might bring them up and have a show based on that. But we'll wait until next week, and then we'll plan it out from there. And the other thing is that since I do have my new job, it is going to mean that MogTalk might be a little bit less every Saturday. It might be every once in a while. Weekly streams are going to be less frequent. Not really scheduled for the weekly streams. It's just whenever I can, I'll jump on and play. But I am going to be really focused on making sure my new job goes well, because it's a big increase for me. So, yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. Anything else? I think that's it. Let me do my special shout outs to Kerr, my wife, who allows me to do this every weekend and make a fool of myself. Thank you, Andre Kane, for providing the music in the intro and the closing of the show. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you to all the supporters of the show and everything else. I'm going to have a small little thank you video here for Patreon supporters with one little announcement that you might have heard already. And then we'll have our extra exit video with credits. And then we're going to host somebody, so stick around for that, because we're going to raid somebody here in just a second. Thank you guys all for watching, and remember to be good, keep cool, stay frosty. Everybody wave bye!
Peace.
Say bye, too.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching the show. It's always a pleasure to talk about PvP when I can. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but definitely something that I hold dear to my heart. Here is our special Patreon segment. I need to take a moment here to thank some people who helped make this show happen and paying for software and everything that we use to make it happen. First, before that, we do have a quick announcement. For Patreon, we did add some merchandise rewards. I just saw it on there, and I figured it'd be really easy just to apply it, so I did. So basically, $5 and up, everyone gets stickers of some sort. Then I'll have a $10 and up, everyone gets mugs of some sort. And then the $25 tier, which is one that makes this video, will get mugs, shirts, hoodies, and a special shout out, which of course, let's go ahead and do that. We have Nimic from Mock Morning, who works on a website for rating for the Final Fantasy XIV community. Super Miyu, who works on the Teamcraft website, who, if you do anything with crafting and you work with other people, it's a great website to use. Then Uni from Phase Temperance, who puts on events for the rating community. And past that, we have Dudas Antonio, Tag, Fury, Nami, Megan C, Daniel H, and Dirk. We have quite a few more people who signed up recently, and I really appreciate that. It does mean a lot. And then we'll see how that all goes. I just want to make sure we had some way of showing my support to everyone, because I know MogTalk's going to simmer down just a little bit with the new job that I have, and hopefully it will be great. But anyways, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and see you next time. Bye.